was like really way louder. Oh no.
That'll happen based on the
channel?
The channel itself. All right, Lauren, you're all set back up again, and it is recording. So, all right, so cameras, let's talk about those. Charles, we'll start with yours. You're going to try to do two things for us. I know I told you not to film people, but I do want you to try to keep one of us in view. These folks all pay to be filmed because they're getting all the data back anyway. The reason for that is because our skin temperature is going to be the warmest thing out here. That's going to give you an array of color on the screen. Much easier to find cold spots when we have a hot spot in the same frame. So again, just try to keep somebody in view at all times, at least one of us. The other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out to view. I told you guys you're going to have a blue dot. I know, all of this explanation is very boring, Karen, I'm sorry. But the blue dot will default to the sky if it's in view. So do your best to try to keep the sky out of view. That way we can actually find those cold spots when they actually show up. But some of these spaces, that's going to be impossible. So just do your best and nice slow movements out of your video. All right. Lauren, where's my lasers at? Lola, perfect. Shine one of your lasers on the ground for me.
She doesn't know how.
Oh,
yeah,
she does. She's got this. All right, so Lauren, you're not going to be pointing your camera down at the lasers. I really want you to take 2 steps backwards. Keep your camera nice and even and level. So basically, you're going to be shooting through the lasers. You don't want to be pointing down because we already know what the circle looks like. We're looking for things between the pen and the ground. So when you're using both of these together at the same time, if you'd like, just don't cross the streams. That goes for the joke, but it does work here. But with that said, you want to put them side by side, so you're actually creating 2 grids. There you go. So now we actually have, they can pass it here, or something can actually pass it here. So again, if we capture something either way, you're at a perfect angle. You guys are going to be moving nice and slow, kind of in sync with each other. And again, in certain spaces, I'll say let's be careful with the lasers, or lasers are going to be out of the game because there is a laser law in Charleston. So go ahead and cut off both lasers now that you guys have a great demo of how to use those. The only thing I think I need to cover would be mass device, which I always do at the next location. So we did get a reading of 2.5 so far. We're relatively close to a building. Did you see any other readings pop up?
Just a 2.5 and 2,000.
That's natural EMF from the earth. Where's the other EMF? So Carol, did we get any color showing up on yours at all? Okay. All right, so I'm going to get us away from football players and ponies so we can go deep dive into history. Is that fair?
Yes.
All right, let's do this. London's already on it. Look at it. The next space is where I want you to try those dowsing rods at.
What are those? I think I'm I can't really see anything through this camera. Like, it's just a hole.
Yeah, I think that, no, well, it's just supposed to be picking up like random stuff in the night. It's not even really about the pictures, I don't think.
So I'm just...
Yeah, you're just, you know. What if somebody just took their pictures all the time?
What I'm going to say.
Selfie, like parent, oh, they just be taking selfies the whole time.
I don't know how to do it. You know, I thought at first I had my finger in front of the lens.
You might have.
I probably did.
Here, and there's a reason why he didn't give you and Lola the camera. Give me that. Taking selfies the whole time.
He gave me something I could put him in.
Did you get something?
And you should test it. I want you to know what the readings are. All right, so did you want to explain what those dowsing rods are? It seemed like somebody was already kind of asking a little bit.
Yeah, dowsing rods is a divining rod to where you ask questions and they answer by either crossing or opening up. And then you have to hold them a certain way. And you're the one who has to ask the questions and they give you the answers. But you have to first start out by saying, can I, may I, should I dowse? Because if you get no to any one of those questions, then you should not be dowsing. If you're sick, you should not be dowsing. Dowsing after a few minutes, if you're not used to it, will make you very tired. It'll weaken your immune system. So I'm going to start out by saying, you hold it like so, and you just barely hold your thumbs where it's just resting, not controlling whatsoever. May I dowse? Yes, thank you. Can I dowse? Yes, thank you. should I dowse? Yes, thank you. Am I talking to a male or a female spirit? Oh, am I talking to a male spirit? Am I talking to a female spirit? Yes, thank you. Am I talking to a female spirit under the age of 20? Yes, thank you. Did you pass by being sick? Did you die by being injured? Yes, thank you. Are you stuck here on Earth, or are you happy here? Yes, thank you. Did you want to stay here? Did you want your spirit to stay here on Earth? Or would you like to go to the light? Would you like to go towards the light? No? Thank you. So you want to stay here? Yes, thank you.
Maybe at this point I should start explaining what this space actually is. So maybe we'll give those a rest, or you can keep them out if you'd like.
I'm sorry?
If you want to keep those out, by all means, but we'll kind of see how they react as I kind of go through the history of this location.
Okay.
So, where are we? We're in a parking lot. Congratulations, you all made it. So, I just didn't want you to, every person coming up to you asking you like what those actually were. And I'll be honest, you all are holding electronics. The reason why I don't use dowsing rods is because they take a lot of time to train on. Electronics can measure everything that we're using tonight. So if I hand them to somebody who's necessarily not a believer, like most of us aren't here, they can just start spinning them, right, saying that they're getting movement. So that's part of the reason why I don't use dowsing rods on the tour. But where are we? We're at the Pinckney Mansion site. So we are at the home of Eliza and Charles Pinckney. Their mansion sat in the front of this home, and Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant over there and came all the way across, and we are standing in servant slave quarters for the home. So, who the heck were these people? Well, first off, Spirit Box folks, I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the Big Red Barn. I will withhold information purposely so everybody has a genuine experience. So I can tell you like almost everything that came out of there so far that was a definitive answer has been absolutely true. So let's kind of get into it. Eliza married Charles at a young age, according to today's standards. When I say today's standards, she came from colonial times. You're not going to hear answers like 12 and 14 if you ask her how old she was when she married Charles. You're going to hear numbers according to today's standards. The only reason I bring this up is because Charles was over double her age when they married. Kind of creepy back then, a little creepy now, but again, it is what it is. That's a very significant fact about her. However, she married Charles because her father over in England thought he was dying, and he wanted to see all of his children one last time before his death. And Eliza didn't think he was dying, so she stayed put and got married. It's 1744. You don't get married for a green card or citizenship because we're not even a country yet. So she did marry him out of love, and yes, after his death, she remained a widow. He was double her age. He definitely died first. So she was right, Dad didn't die, so he actually starts sending her gifts over from England to right where we're standing. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. You guys have been in Charleston for at least an hour that I know of. You've seen the term indigo somewhere. Indigo is a plant that makes our blue jeans blue. That's how we use it today. So Lola's wearing it right now. That's what we actually use it for. But when she got them, she didn't know what to do with them. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's obviously not hot here all the time. When she figured it out, she moved it to another family plantation. And what's funny is I know it's not necessarily the plantation in Mount Pleasant. I read that today. It could be one of the other. We don't really know for certain. But when she moved it to that other plantation, she calls her father up and says, "Hey, Dad, rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with this indigo." We now have an international businesswoman during colonial times. So that's her business. Let's get into the weird stuff, because that's why everybody's here. What I've been doing lately is I've been assigning sets of questions. So that way, not everybody's trying to remember all of the questions that you can ask. So, Spirit Box, we'll start with Hannah. we're going to have you ask basically what happened to the mansion. And if you get an answer, ask what year or what the date was if that actually occurred.
Okay.
So you might get the full date, you might just get the year. We never know. But always ask what happened to the mansion first. Where's my next spirit box? Deborah, you're obviously using two different ways to communicate. So I'm trying to think of the easiest way to do that where you can have yes or no questions. There's two different wives named Eliza by Charles, back to back. So you can ask if you're dealing with the first wife or the second wife, but particularly listen for what their maiden names might be. So they both have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. That's all I'm going to tell you. So that way you can listen for a maiden name or ask with the second wife. Where's my next spirit box? So, Karen, was it? Look at me getting names right. Check me out. As far as the children go, there's more than one child that I did not mention. Actually, I'm going to just put it out there. There is one child named Charles, and there was a nephew named Charles. So that's three Charleses, the father, the son, and the nephew. The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution. So I don't normally always bring that up, but I'm going to give you at least that there was one child. There were more. You can ask how many and what their names were, but that's it.
Do I just talk to it?
Just like somebody's out in the open air. And I'm going to go through one more set of questions because there is another spirit box here. But I am going to warn you, do not poke the bear with this one. Don't ask if there's a tragedy among those children. All activity will stop. Just so you know. You don't want to poke the bear with this one. Last spirit box. Eliza's death. You have a pretty open dictionary in there, so you can ask anything you want to about her death. How old she was, where she's buried, what she died from, and what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So everybody kind of has a set of questions here. Cameras, you all know what you're doing. Lasers, you know what you're doing. You definitely want to keep your lasers, Lola, off the vehicles. So London's going to work with the two of you first, I think, to make sure we're going to keep those lasers in a safe place. Everybody else, we're going to spread out. Yeah, use it like a cell phone. There you go.
You said the man's name that built this house was Charles.
Charles, correct. That should be easy for you to remember.
So basically, y'all's is really easy.
Again, as far as
So
the
point
cameras go,
your
we're not
one of them
filming
down.
cars, people will be passing through.
Steps back, and you're looking right in here.
Okay.
And yours, you can point out about 5 feet out, so about there. Yep. And then just make sure it's not on any cars, on any persons.
So what questions do I ask?
About kids. So how many kids does she have? How many boys and girls? And then you don't have to do that.
Does it matter at any time to ask?
Yeah, find yourself a good spot.
Just make sure you're not like using it like a speaker.
But,
So you're talking like you're talking to me
what colors did you have?
It never stopped.
Very.
So do I ask the questions at any time?
Yep.
Tell me what they were doing.
One of them was what the name of the child's name, or the one of the other
That's
siblings.
parents.
That's their questions. I think yours was about her death.
Yes.
So you can ask when she
When
died,
she died.
how old she was, how she
Her
died, and then which president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So
How many were girls?
So am I supposed to hear an answer?
no, it's just gonna
Okay.
pop up on the screen.
How did I die? Not you.
Eliza, is
It
that
said 3 girls.
Was that her name?
Not
Eliza?
3 girls.
Was her name Eliza?
Eliza.
say what president?
What president
Was a pallbearer.
was a pallbearer at Eliza's funeral?
How many boys?
It's going nuts.
It is going crazy.
How did she die?
How did Eliza die? How old was Eliza when she died?
Yeah, walk around, hang out with her, see what she's listening. You can even put it. Yeah, and I said it really small because I don't want to cause interference.
Do your lasers, Lola.
How many kids?
All right, so we heard the name Charles. Who heard the name
I
Charles?
heard Charles.
See how you guys pay me to go to work? Isn't this great? Lauren's like, yeah.
Yes.
I'm supposed to be seeing something, right? You can turn them off now.
Again, here's the amazing close one. Start with Jenny.
Okay. Now, when I ask those questions, is something being recorded for the answer? That's it? Okay. So do I continually ask them?
I would normally, you have the questions about the family, right?
Yes.
So I would stick with the same question for a couple of times.
What was your firstborn's name?
She was, I think you told me when she died from. Wait 10 seconds. Well, I mean, you want to talk about that's not kind of nice. But ask it a few times. If you don't get an answer, then
Emily?
oh,
How am I going to know their
Her name?
it'll show up right in the middle of the screen. So those words that I just showed you on the list, those all show up in the middle of the screen as soon as we start. So sometimes they come really fast. The game we're playing is this thing's going to spit out a word anyway. So is it coming from the app or is it coming from somebody actually pulling the word out of the dictionary? Okay, you know, so I'm not a person that reads the notes. I see the steps. Okay. You might actually have an answer. And this will also be fine. If you're asking questions, you have 5 clear ones. Let's answer some more names. I also have the audio from the other cameras. So if
Can you hear anything?
Sharon might actually have it all the time. I thought you were
Huh?
Did
you hear it?
Elijah, how did you die?
What's nice about that is when she actually has the lasers out, we used to just use that camera for the lasers. To try to go through it.
Perrin, I think she crapped on herself when she
went now. I would have literally millions of screenshots of things like that. But with yours, if she has the camera turned the wrong way or something goes some way, we also kind of have to back up. And there's no flash on that either. So kind of keep in mind. I do that because I don't want any false positives. Why light them up? Yeah, I know.
I'm over there, I'm thinking.
If you're super dark or a damn shit, I put them through a light. I do go through.
So I'm fine. Just take it. Like, I'm just kidding. I know I do it. Limited.
Mom, have you gotten any answers yet?
Blood.
Uh-oh.
That's all I've got so far. Blood.
Yeah. So even though like, you're asking
Generation came up.
doesn't mean that your answer's not going to be
Right.
Slide and play plus 3 points of audio. That's what comes along. And you can get good. Do you have the one before you know?
I'll die
Did
when
she
the
have
president's
two
word
girls?
comes.
No.
No. Dang it. I heard two as well.
Take a look at that. It's not supposed to give you that much of a sweep, but you shouldn't be hearing that much. It should be very random. Like you should have silence from time to time, not a full sweep. Yeah, it's trying to eliminate all of that white noise and only give you voices. That's the whole point of this particular type of ceremony.
So, Eliza, how many girls did you and Charles have?
Because I had it set so you would only get the words coming through instead of all this white noise. That's what it does. Again, you should have some silence in between the stations.
What did it say?
I don't know, I missed it, but hopefully your audio caught it. So when you guys are listening to this, it just said something, so listen closely. I heard truly right there. You see where you're only going to get one word at a time? That's the point.
Ooh.
And the other
I keep hearing truly.
truly again.
Yeah. And free.
Well, we're standing in the servant and slave quarters. We got the word freedom on the other spirit box, the word list
Yep.
that Kitty has, so
I don't think it was President Bush. It's what's coming up Bush. Okay, look here. Oh, I wanted you here. Look, moan came up. Bush. Well, I doubt it was President Bush. Look here.
nope.
Oops, sorry. Here you go. Blood wasn't wrong.
Down by your side. And get it where before you get started.
At
where they're not, they can't be touching. But
They've got to be straight out.
level. So that you're really not.
Anything else popping up? Nothing that you can tell? And Deborah, you got anything else?
Do you care if she tries with these?
No, I don't mind. Not at all. Look, put your water bottle in my pocket over here. How's your camera work going?
It's good.
Still running?
Yep.
Good. Yep, good. So every, I think it's 10 or 11 minutes, it kind of starts a new file. So I'm sure you noticed that.
Yes.
But I'm glad we got that format thing done early. And again, your camera's not always perfect in the moment type thing. It's all about the review of it. We actually
Okay.
capture a lot of orbs with that guy. The laser grids, obviously, hopefully we'll capture something moving through it. So,
Good deal.
all right, I'm gonna rein in Mr. Matt. Matt, come on in, bud.
Baron.
In orange, so you had about 20 then? Okay. Well, Matt caught an 18 earlier over in that area, so that seems fairly accurate.
Do I need to mute it when we go from place to place?
I'll let you know when we're gonna turn it down.
Stick. Stick. Was she beat to death with a stick?
No, but London's holding those dowsing rods.
What did it say?
It says
Stick.
stick. You gotta remember, these people from colonial times.
They don't know what it is.
I mean, they might know what dowsing rods are, but to them, that's still a stick.
Yeah.
You don't think so?
Just giving her a minute with the dowsing rods, and I'll give you guys all the answers.
Q.
Eliza. She keeps asking how she died. She called her
I'm gonna
Elisha.
pull everybody back here, guys. Get you guys some answers. All right, so we can kill the videos. And Charles, hit your red square for me. Give your hands a little bit of a break. Go ahead and hit the circle button. That's the top of the camera, all the way to the right. There's a circle. There you go.
Oh, there we go.
All right, Charles, you back on?
Not yet, but we
All right.
back on.
Any names heard along the way?
The only thing I heard was station.
Okay.
We heard Jesus and then God of Israel. Wow. But no names other than Jesus.
Karen, anything for you? Anything coming out of yours?
No,
Nothing?
been on mute.
It was all about you.
Oh.
Just giving you a hard time. All right, so welcome to Lodge Alley, everybody. We're going to be talking about the history of this location, and then of course we're going to do a few little odd experiments just to kind of see what goes on here. So first you need to know where you're at. So we're in a quiet space, so again, we're not going to be here for a long period of time because there are people in those hotel rooms inside those windows. So again, my voice stays pretty low here as well. Well, there's goes up on 304, but there's real people on the other side of the wall yet. But yeah, if you want to take some pictures going up and down the alleys, we do capture a lot of orbs here, which is exactly why I have Lauren's camera moving very slowly in this location. So when we cross the lost crosswalk coming down East Bay Street, that's where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. So Charleston used to be called Charlestown. This is one of the first streets we ever had inside the original city. So people used to live here, which is why I was asking you all for names. I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived here. Don't be too impressed because it's not a lengthy list. It's just nice that I have access to it. The names I commonly get as I'm coming into this alley, and it's not even me, it's you guys. Benjamin and John. You guys hear those names all the time. Benjamin, when I say people lived here, by the way, I'm not talking like dozens of houses were lined up the streets here. I'm talking like 2 to 5 houses total. So Benjamin and John, go ahead and mute that for me in here, just because we want to kind of keep the volume on. I wanted you listening on okay. I'm sorry, I'm still going to give you a hard time. But Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. There's 2 out of 5 people that lived here in 1801. I get those names every 6 to 7 weeks. Here's why I think that's happening. So first off, I don't have anything about Benjamin and John that's super significant, other than the fact that they both lived here in 1801. Now, John is a very common name, you're saying. there were 4 different Johns that lived in this alley over a 60-year period. John likes to give us his last name, Johnson. So John Johnson was his name. We will get his full name in this location from time to time, especially during that 6 to 7 week long loop. Now, you're standing on Belgian blocks. Belgian blocks are said to be made of granite. Everybody loves down when I say that. It's funny. So, Belgian blocks are made of granite. Now, you guys all seem like you're in tune with, kind of paranormal terms. You've heard the term limestone before. How you doing, boss? So, limestone is actually said to kind of stir up paranormal activity. Now, the funny thing about granite is it does come straight from the earth, just like limestone. However, granite does not hold an EMF charge whatsoever. Matt, I want you to pick a brick and put your device on there and let me know if no, you don't need to turn that on. Just the red screen. Let me know if you get any reading. We're going to leave it on the ground for the next 1 to 2 minutes. So just let me know the highest number you get to. You should not be getting anything above a 1.1, which is a natural charge from the earth. Last night alone, we had a 9.7 and a 9. So again, I've seen it go as high as 11.7 in this location. And again, it was during the middle of that loop. Why it showed up at 9 point something last night, I have no idea. We didn't have a whole lot of activity going on in here with your devices, nor did I capture any orbs moving around or any temperature anomalies. Any numbers, or is it staying pretty low?
0.1, 0.2.
Okay. We'll leave it there for just a minute. Let me know if there goes anything above that. Now, before people actually lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley. So you will get terms wrapped around the Freemasons, so it will be Mason, Brick, and we've even had the term Illuminati show up several times. 6 times last year alone, and 3 times this year so far. Now, that sounds really funny to you guys, but it comes up usually on the red spirit boxes that you guys are using, and I want to know who the heck is talking about the Illuminati on the radio, and second, why am I only hearing it in this space? So again, the Illuminati is not something that's normally talked about in very open subjects like obviously the radio. So especially with the radio stations we're sweeping through, which is FM, possibly AM, but we only use FM. So it's a very interesting space. Any readings at all? Okay, go ahead and pick up your device. We're not going to get anything out of that tonight. But again, Lauren, you're doing a great job of keeping it nice and steady. I have been running like some laser grid tests in this location too, but again, if we're not getting any spikes out of his device, there's really no point. We're going to be watching a bunch of lasers doing absolutely nothing. So the next space we're going to go to is, I got all excited. So Carol, your device actually has a 15 milligauss, but it's steady. That's what I call a rhythm or a pattern. That's coming from something man-made, more than likely the building behind her, just so you guys know. But I got excited because I see color. The next space we're going to go to, folks, is another alley. However, I cannot take you all the way through it like what we're doing here. Why? Because I've been kicked out. Again, you guys have all the blinky lights and the noisemakers and all of that, and it is considered residential at the end. That space is what I would call an active, intelligent spirit, and we are going to be relatively close to it through the remainder of our time together, which means the spirit boxes can get relative terms from that space 1 block away. Like, kind of for an example, the Big Johns that we actually started off with, we could have gotten terms from Big Johns over at the Pinckney Mansion site and vice versa, because they're relatively close to each other. I'm not expecting anything from the Pinckneys over here, and then but over at the next space, it could bleed over into our very last stop. So we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood as we go into that next stop. So when we exit the alley, I want all videos to stop, because we don't videotape anything when we're in a residential area. People live there. Absolutely no lasers. You're still out of the game, Lola. So sorry about your luck, but that means you get to listen in on the spirit box and kind of see what you guys are actually hearing along the way there. But everybody else listening to the spirit box along the way, Kitty, you got anything going on with your word list there before we move on?
Let's see. Occupy, guy, peasant, extent, dance, dust, insects, itching, identification.
Okay,
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Word list is actually pretty weak tonight, I'm not going to lie. So, there was something else I was going to mention before we went over there. Something about those?
I think so.
Okay. Alright, let's head up to the next stop. Let's go see if we can go capture at the next location. Pinckney Mansion said it was light, obviously. Oh, that was it. The loop. Where are we in the loop that I normally capture evidence here? We're in weeks 3 to 4 of that 6 to 7 week long loop. So I was not expecting any of you to hear those names, Benjamin and John. Just so you guys know. But again, I never know what's going to occur, which is exactly why I'm studying this, because I can't even pinpoint to an exact date. I have it to a week-to-week basis, based on what I'm normally seeing out of this location. So let's head up to Philadelphia Alley and let's go see what we can go capture up there. So keep listening in on your spirit boxes. Nope, I just want you to
Did you say turn the cameras off?
Inconspicuously. Why I say inconspicuously is because other tours may go down there and they did not pay to be filmed. And again, that's the residential area where I've been booted out of. So you want to hold yours maybe a little bit lower and not look like a YouTuber, but definitely keep it going that way.
Okay.
So you heard the word alley. Very cool.
I heard communicate right after it said pay attention. I heard
Pay attention and communicate. Remind me to write those down. I want to get into this one because it's got a lot going on here. So with this space, let's go to that just so we can get a little bit better overview. This space used to be called Jeweler's Alley. This is one of the spaces where the jewels used to occur for the city of Charleston. This is why all the other ghost tours will go down here, is because that's pretty much a big campfire ghost story. So Charles, you want to pretty much direct your camera at the alley, not necessarily me, just so you know. But with this alley, we all tell the same story. Of course, we're ghost hunting, so I'm going to give it to you a little bit differently than the other tours, because you're going to need a lot more detail because you're ghost hunting, especially when you're going through your data tomorrow morning. So with that said, let's get into it. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because his fiancée Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney that's helping her out with all of this cash. He thinks that the doctor is just after Amanda's money, so that's coming from the building behind you.
I thought so.
I know, sorry. You're seeing ghosts, isn't that enough? Come on. Just get bummed out. So, the attorney tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor because he thinks he's just after her cash. So, to prove that he's not, he comes down here to Charleston. He's going to start his medical practice here in Charleston. So, as he's coming into town, the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. Somebody walking by, his name is Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph for a second because, again, you're ghost hunting. So, Ralph, he actually has the same initials as to where the doctor came from. So, Rhode Island, Ralph Isaacs. The letters R.I. will show up here quite often. We just need that secondary clue so we know who it belongs to, because I just gave you the two main characters, the doctor and Ralph. Back to the doctor. Ralph tells the doctor, you don't want to stay here, dude. He's like, he's got a gunman inside. I know who this is, but I got some friends at 59 Church Street you can rent a room from, and you'll be safe and good to go. Obviously, 59 being a very big spirit box term here. So the doctor takes him up on the offer, and him and Ralph become friends. The doctor's practice starts to take off the longer he's in Charleston, which means he's making his own money now. He's proving his point to his fiancée Amanda and her attorney, and that means Amanda's moving down soon. This doctor becomes known as the whistling doctor. I will tell you that every haunted city you will ever go to has a cliched whistling ghost. I actually have proof of this one. So let's finish this one off. Him and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats, just so you know. They talk about these plays on the way home. They go see William III one night, and they start arguing over the new actress that was here in town. The doctor thought she was fantastic, but Ralph, he didn't think so. So they start arguing, and then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. It gets pretty heated and ugly, and they go their separate ways. But Ralph is from here. He has friends at the newspaper. He goes and puts an ad in the newspaper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. The doctor sees the ad and rebuttals with, let's go to Jeweler's Alley. We're going to settle this. Somebody's going to die. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn. The doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened at a duel, by the way. There wasn't always a dead guy. However, Ralph has his one shot, and he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. So Dr. Ladd drops to the ground. His friends pick him up. They carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. So you have to remember that this guy was a doctor. He probably tried to heal himself by bleeding out the bullet himself. Here's the campfire part of the story, of course. Every ghost tour goes down there and tells you that if you turn on your voice recorders, you can actually hear the whistles from the doctor. If you do this on your own time, because of course I can't take you there, and you're about to find out why, turn on your voice recorders, listen to it later, see if you hear any whistles. Keep in mind, all the locals know the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street on the other side throws a whistle down the alley. Me and London usually do it every single night on our way back to our garage. So we are going to end up there on that corner. Our garage is right there. We have to pass the alley every single night. So again, we always throw a whistle down the alley. So here's why I got booted out. This is the fun part. You ready, Matt? He's like, yeah, let's find out the good stuff. So this alley didn't always come all the way through to the Cumberland Street side, which means the bricks at the other end are older. Those bricks are sun-dried bricks from slave children. You guys, I'm sure you realize by now I'm all about the history, right? Without the history, the evidence is meaningless. But the history of Charleston, we did have slavery. There's a full handprint in one of those bricks from one of those slave children and fingerprint swipes from other children. And I would always point them out just to show how far we've actually come in our history. However, everybody wants to put a spirit box or an EMF detector or something near that handprint in that brick. I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. You're not going to get that kid staring at that brick in the afterlife. That brick, November 26th of 2020, got me in a lot of trouble. My entire group decided to huddle around that brick and try to get readings and ask questions. And it's outside a gentleman's dining room window of his beautiful mansion. Dude came out, started screaming. This one thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at. So we move on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I worked in retail management for over 20 years before I started doing this. I took a Thanksgiving off. I'm sure you all can relate if any of you have ever worked in retail in the past. So the next day was November 28th. Yes, all of these dates are very specific for a reason. November 28th, I got a phone call from the tourism office asking me to either go down halfway, like every other tourist, which is what we're allowed to do, or reroute the group. So I decided it's not fair to my 10 people to try to investigate a small space around 20 to 60 other tourists from other tours. So I'm going to reroute. I tell my group, we're going to wing it. We're going to see what happens. I don't know much about this story, nor do I really even believe in it because I've never had activity there. I did not tell them who we were going to be investigating. And before we left, somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box. I did not tell them we were going to be investigating Anne Bonny, the famous female pirate. When we get there, I told what I knew, kind of him-hawed around it, like, all right, we'll see what happens. Somebody else hears the number 300 on another spirit box. I didn't know what that meant at the time. I'm doing the research the next morning. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. The exact 300th anniversary of her pirate trial. So I keep taking you guys back there night after night in hopes that we're going to capture more. However, Anne Bonny is said to be seen all over town, and we're taking a big roll of the dice. Luckily for you, I've read dozens of books on piracy and Anne Bonny. Now, however, I am not a pirate person at all. Like, I don't like pirates. It's not my thing. I'm a vampire guy through and through. So, everything I will tell you about this pirate story at the end, if we don't get any activity, which again, we'll know within the first 5 minutes or so. Hopefully, you guys all know what you're doing with your devices by now, and we'll be able to capture more activity than what we did at Pinckney Mansion. But it is a crazy whopper of a story, if anything else. I made it as most accurate as I possibly can when you're dealing with pirate lore, just so you know. But it is kind of a crazy whopper of a story, and we're going to head up to that location next. Did anybody hear or see anything on their word list before we go? Anna, nothing? Perrin, you're still on mute. Kitty, what do you got?
Scheme of Ford boots prosecution, girl city poisoned, apart track, behind.
Yeah.
Melody.
Melody as in a whistle of a melody?
It just says melody.
Vague, but again,
Garden.
Well, we're a little far off the garden now. Interesting.
Scheme.
Kind of. Again, it's not specific enough for me. Like, I would almost want, like, add Amanda. Do you see where I'm, like, specific, very specific details about the story? Scheme? Yeah, there's schemes all over Charleston. That could be relatable to anything. All right. Let's head up to the Powder Magazine. Let's go talk about pirates, and let's go see what we can capture up there. And you're still recording, Lauren. Good job.
Couple. How pretty.
I think you'll get to see that man because you'll have badges.
What was he wearing? What was he wearing? Was he really wearing like a... Did look like a puffy sleeve?
Solid black.
Really?
Like he just had like a long-sleeve shirt on. And he was just kind of leaning up against the wall.
Huh. That's pretty. thicker. Really? Catch anything, Perry?
Huh?
Did you get anything?
Last 3 words are couple, legend, and knife.
Hey, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Finally, all 3 of them. I will take it. And I don't have to write them down because it's doing it for me. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Then rabbit.
I don't know who the hell rabbit is. So I guess first and foremost, this is our last stop. Just so you guys know, we're going to, spread out like what we did at the Pinky Mansion site after I give everybody the history of this location. But I wanted to point out, especially after some of the past tours I've had in the past couple of weeks, these are the teams that I want to work with. People bring extra stuff. They teach me in London a few extra things. People see ghosts, like literally. So thank you for that. Like that was awesome. And everybody kind of followed direction. And when I say kind of, that's a 90%. So that's a great job. There are some nights, folks, where I'm constantly, all I'm doing is teach and train, teach and train, teach and train, teach and train. What does this do again? What does this do again? So again, cannot thank you enough. This was a fun night for me, and I'm sure London's running a few things herself. So thank you for teaching her a few things about those dowsing rods. And the reason why I said that it was perfectly fine for her to use them is because I know that space well, and I know it's a safe space for her to learn something like that. Am I going to take her to a space to learn a new device in a space I'm unfamiliar with? Absolutely not. So London is learning quite a few things back home with me anyway. I'm sure you guys realize like I do more than just electronics and that kind of thing. So she is learning quite a bit. So again, thank you for bringing those. Big deal. Welcome to the Powder Magazine. We're going to be seeing other very large groups, just like you guys saw at the very corner over there, actually passing by here, which is why I bring us to the back, and it's now Campfire Story. So,
Does not everybody get devices?
What do you mean?
Like, I didn't see anybody in that group with devices. Like
I'm the
anything
only
that
one in
has-
America that goes to these lights.
Yeah.
Literally.
It's usually just they talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah.
So happy birthday, you get the weird tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is one other tour in Savannah that's trying to mimic what I'm doing out here, but they do not have the caliber of equipment that you all are holding right now, nor do they give you all of the recorded data, and they charge you to use the devices. So that is not what this is about. This is about for you guys to have fun while you're here in Charleston, learn some history, and touch some devices you may never see again in the future, or you can ask your new Zach Bagans a million questions after we part ways to keep you in the loop of what's going on. So,
Very cool.
Well, and a lot of times the equipment's so expensive that if you're not going to use it, there's no point in putting that much money out if you're not going to use it.
right. And I'm literally using this stuff 7 nights a week. And we're still upgrading and updating. Like the camera you're holding, Lauren, it's a complete new upgrade. All the lights on there are brand spanking new that are upgraded, and the camera itself. It works way better than the last one. The FLIR that Charles is using, like that is a major upgrade that we updated that last year. Everything in your hands is pretty much an upgrade. And we're still adding a few more tools in the next few months. So again, it's all about whatever's changing in this field. So let's get into where we're at so that you guys can explore. We're going to be talking about that little tiny building right over there with the crosses on it. First off, those are not crosses. Those are earthquake bolts. In the event we have another earthquake, those are turnbuckles. So, which we haven't. I know I talked about the earthquake of 1886 at the beginning, but you could turn those turnbuckles and it's supposed to straighten the building back up again and kind of eliminate any damage that was incurred onto the building. It's a great idea, but Lauren looks very confused, like that's a dumb idea. It is a dumb idea because it doesn't work. So, the reason I bring it up is because these are the first set of earthquake bolts that we actually put in Charleston, because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. So, we are here because we talked about those Charlestown walls earlier. This place is a familiar to Anne Bonny. She actually was here during the time that this building was being constructed. It's kind of like using a toy to attract a child ghost, same type of principle. So again, with this location, I told you we talked about those Charlestown walls where that garage is right there on the street. That's where the wall stood. It went up past the powder magazine and started going south behind me towards the battery, keeping the gunpowder magazine away from the water as furthest away as it can inside the city walls. If it gets attacked from a pirate ship cannonball or Revolutionary warship cannonball, it's going to have a hard time getting through those 32-inch thick walls. We're going to pretend that it does, and it goes through the 32-inch walls and actually blows up the gunpowder, and the explosion goes up in the air. Underneath those red shingles you guys see, there's sand from the early 1700s that was placed there to go up with the explosion and fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. That's another great idea, but that doesn't work either. So, we had another powder magazine closer to the battery. It did get struck because it's much closer to the water. The sand went up, but the building burned to the ground. It doesn't exist. This one has just never...
I just heard blows up, sorry, when you said that.
Of course. But again, this one's just never been attacked. It has served in 7 different wars and 1 rebellion. So, the 7 different wars, the last one being the Civil War, just so you guys know. This is a great spot to get out of our heat or our cold, depending on what time of year you're here. Spend the $5 to learn a few things about your architecture. Again, 1703 to 1713. Took 10 years to make this building. Does that sound like our government? 10 years, small building? No, not at all. I'll answer for you. But Anne Bonny actually came here in 1708, which is where the story actually begins. So follow me, there's a lot of twists on this one. 1708, Anne Cormack moves here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Is everybody with me so far? Yeah, a lot of twists, I told you. The 3 of them are running away from his wife. Just saying, how mad was she, right? So you have to pick up and leave out of your country. They land in Georgetown, just north of here, in between us and Myrtle Beach. Dad buys a plantation in Georgetown, and Mom dies pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to sell anything in their plantation to keep things afloat. Now, young Anne back home in Ireland was kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants when she was only 10 or 12 years old with a knife to the belly. Didn't we have the word knife show up? Yep, thought so. So what were the other ones? Legend and couple?
Okay, legend, couple, knife, and since then, rabbit, Jason, Barry, element, alone.
Yeah, I still like knife. Last night the word stomach actually showed up as soon as we got here, so again, it was kind of cool. But anyway, fast forward a little bit. This building was done in 1713. Pirates are coming through Charlestown in 1715. Anne is pretty stoked because she's going to fall in love pretty quickly because she's looking to gain freedom like a man. So she falls in love. Guy number 1, his name is James Bonny. You can already see where this is going because we've already mentioned her name several times. They run away to Jamaica because Dad doesn't approve.
They just said James.
You have to remember these. I'm not going to write them all down right now, but yeah, keep them going. Unless Lenon's going to write them down for me. Find a blank page. Whisper in her ear. James and blow up. I think are the 2 major ones that we have right now. When they get down there, this guy is not the swashbuckling, rum-drinking Captain Jack Sparrow she was hoping for. This guy is a privateer, which means he's a spy for the British. This is not who she wanted. She falls in love again a few years later. This guy is, we're on guy number 2, in case you guys want to track already. There's a handful. So, John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is the same real person that they based Captain Jack Sparrow's character off of. Calico Jack has his own ship. Anne wants to be part of that ship. You can't put a girl on the crew because girls curse pirate ships. He makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and hide your gender, then you can be part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, I'm a pirate, let's go. We're all adults here except for London. You can imagine what's going on with the female in his quarters kind of mentality. She eventually gets pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure it out that she's a girl, and then they're all going to be mad at Jack. So Jack decides he's going to drop her off in Cuba and say, have the baby over here with some friends of mine. They'll help you out. Come back. We'll figure it out later. She has the baby, but returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to the child. She's also dressed like a female. She doesn't give a damn anymore about hiding her gender. This makes Jack pretty angry. And while she was away giving birth to Jack's baby, he captured another pirate crew and they're down below deck. Anne's going to go flirting because that's what Anne does. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. And now we have 2 females dressed like males on the same ship. Her name is Mary Reed. Her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers. We're never going to know for certain. That's way too long ago. And the British find out where they are. They're going to send their entire fleet of ships to come take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks, probably because they don't know how to use the cannons yet, and obviously they're going to get taken, right? So the other pirates are down below deck too drunk to come up and fight. So, as they're being arrested, she looks at her captain in bow, Calico Jack, and she says, you should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog. Now, the word dog very prominent on spirit boxes here, just so you know. I've seen it plenty of times. The judge, he wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly all by themselves. He's already took Calico Jack and the drunken crew and hung them. Like, they're tried and they're dead. So the two ladies go in front. They reveal their gender. He doesn't care that they're female. He's still going to hang them because they're still pirates in his eyes. And by the way, that judge's name is Nicholas as well. So if you guys hear my name, it's relative in one of three ways. We'll see how it pops up. But anyway, he's still going to hang them. So they scream out, "We plead our bellies," meaning they're both claiming to be pregnant. You can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail. Dad is still here in the Charlestown area with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because yes, we're going to count Mary Reed. We never know for sure. And she has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. That's all we know after her pirate career. As far as Mary Reed goes, she died a year later in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. So it's probably scurvious and bumpy and gross, and use your imagination. I'm sure it was nasty. That was 1721. As far as the story goes and questions you guys can ask on your spirit boxes, it's a free-for-all. However, I did leave 2 facts that I can actually prove out of the story on purpose. You can ask whatever you want to, but I did leave out the name of Calico Jack's ship. I also left out the name of Anne Bonny's parents. So, if you want to ask either of those 2 questions to get things kind of rolling along, you can do that. A couple of things here before I have you guys spread out with all of your devices. I did tell you at the beginning of this tour that people have passed out on this tour. Let me tell you why I give this heated warning. Back in September, it was actually a little bit cooler than this night, probably, higher 60s. I bring my group back here just like what we're doing now. The kid next to me goes white as a ghost, like literally. I have to pick him up by his armpit so he doesn't hit his head on the ground. He's passing out before our very eyes. His boyfriend picks him up from the other side of him before he hits his head. We take him over to that wall over there, get him a seat, get him a glass of water, like he's doing better. I then tell the story. It's important to know that they don't know what you guys now know about Anne Bonny. I send everybody out with their devices to go have fun, explore the space. They pull me aside. Nick, we got to tell you, we are 2 transgender males, meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Anne and Mary, on the tour. It made complete sense as to why one of them passed out the minute we entered the space. These are the uncanny things that I see all the time. This is why I give those heated warnings. So, those of you with cameras, you can go to the front of the powder magazine. I know you have your SLR there, so you can actually go to the front. You'll have to exit the lot and make a left. The only thing that I ask is that you do not interrupt other tours. Lola, you with the lasers, you can go up there with her, so obviously we can get some footage and see if there's any motion going on up there. Anybody else want to go up there to take pictures? Obviously you can do that. I will tell you, there's a great shot of St. Philip's. If you stand kind of like in the middle of the lot, you can see the steeple. It's a beautiful shot if you want to take those on your cell phone. We are going to end over there at that wall. That's where I'm going to be, and then I'll pull you guys back in. Normally, if somebody gets excited about another camera popping up, you guys normally come to find me. If I see that nobody's coming and running up to me for great terms that they're hearing on spirit boxes, we'll wrap this one up, and I will collect devices, and you guys can ask me a trillion questions. Let's have some fun and spread out in this space. Let's see what we can get. Wow, you guys all got really quiet all of a sudden.
Lola, let's go. Let's go see what we can find.
Lola, with the lasers in the front, just make sure they stay on the ground. These are apartments, so if you go too high, it'll be incinerating here. So, what do you think, Lauren? You get some weird stuff?
Yeah.
This is one of the best spaces, it was in this location that I caught one of the best orbs with that camera, and it was giant. Like, I'm not talking like a bug passing by, I'm talking like a giant orb coming through, changing direction, stopping, like the whole 9. I'll show you guys the video before we leave.
Okay. Crazy. I'm gonna step back. Stay right there for a second. Stay right there for a second. Hey Nick, will you come here for a second?
Here you go.
So what is this a reflection or is this something?
See how it's moving with your camera?
Uh-huh.
It's a reflection off of the lights that are coming off of it.
Okay. Dang.
But nope,
I thought I had something good. Okay, let it go. I thought I had something good. Dang it.
You're going to get a reading. So you got enough people. Oh my God, check it out. Stand right here. You know, get the electrical current.
Let's go in the front of the thing. you want to wait till this one passes? Hold on. I'm going to step back. Watch out for this one. I don't see anything. Come back this way. Let's go stand like over there near it and see if we can get anything. I don't see anything. I'm going to go this way.
When Erie popped up, I didn't see it.
See this all over the Erie.
Erie the shit.
Erie the shit.
Fine job, Lola.
Yeah, the lasers aren't the most exciting thing. We're replacing that one. That's going to be our next one.
Uh-oh. He keeps getting something over there, Carol. He is? Yeah, it's like going off. See?
I mean, she was from 10 to 12 when she supposedly killed one of her servants, though.
Oh?
So.
What do you got?
I
10 to 12, but it's wingless. We don't know if it was, we've seen it in multiple resources, but again, the age varies.
For a while before I
Anything crazy?
No, I was just taking some pictures. Oh, I don't know.
Flower.
How I feel about it.
Oh, good.
I mean,
You're gonna go take them by hand.
Yes, ma'am.
it's just a window.
There's Nana. Where'd Nana go? Oh, she going down there? I want to go down there too. I heard penis for some reason. Got it. I don't know. And faggot, maybe?
I've been in there before. Not the tour. You can actually go in and just look around, but and then they have all the tour. No, I did. Y'all did.
Oh, no. I wasn't paying attention, but I think I felt like I would have seen a man in a puppy sleeves.
Pull another water. Stop. Dying.
Alright, let's head over to the wall, everybody.
It said stop and dying.
Stop, stop. Red. Still getting red? Get any other colors?
Yellow, he was asking questions and it was like going like green or red. That was really cool.
So, probably one of the coolest things I've seen in a while. We're going to stop that just because it's distracting to me. We have everybody here. Perfect. So, one of the things I actually asked Ann Bonnie out loud was give us the color of your hair. And we don't normally see this color on the REM, the motion sensor, very often, and it came up red after I walked through it, like very distinctly red.
Yeah, like it was like bam, 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 like for a long time.
The next question I asked was, if you're actually here, give us the color of your eyes. Now, rumor had it that she actually had blue eyes. Normally you think red hair, green eyes, right? Especially coming from an Irish woman. But I want to say that the anomaly with Anne is that her eyes were actually blue. So I was waiting for you to tell me, and I didn't tell them what these answers actually were. So again, it's not like he shook it, making it going to red kind of thing. You know, that kind of mentality. We did not see the color blue.
No,
Okay. Alright, perfect. We'll see if something actually pops up with one of the spirit boxes. So, go ahead and kill your videos. So definitely hit your red square, Charles, and your circle on top.